When watching a movie, have you ever been so immersed you find yourself with an elevated heart rate, having increased anxiety, and even speaking aloud to the characters as if you were there with them? We've all been there, and nothing seems to bring us that immersion such as a movie meant to scare us half to death. This is where the Alien franchise comes into play. Alien and Aliens are considered among the best sci-fi horror films ever made, and rightfully so. Alien 3, while not as high up on the list as its predecessors, is still a darn good watch. However, it seems as though Alien had lost its appeal starting with the silly Alien Resurrection, the lackluster prequel Prometheus, and the disappointing Alien Covenant. Now, 7 years later after Alien Covenant, we're introduced to Alien Romulus. Directed by Fede Alvarez, this movie is supposed to be a return to glory for the Alien franchise. Away with the convoluted stories and back to basics of people being prey to an apex predator that is virtually unstoppable. So, can Alien Romulus burst through the chest of mediocrity that the Alien franchise finds itself in? Or is it another underwhelming take on sci-fi horror that should remain in cryostasis? Well, let's find out. I'm Melvin, and this is Unexplained Possibilities Reviews Alien Romulus. Alien Romulus takes place in between Alien and Aliens, which makes Romulus a prequel sequel. With how it's set up, you won't need to watch any of the other movies in the franchise to understand what's going on. You might miss out on some callbacks, but ultimately, this movie is set up for first-time watchers of anything alien related and also long-time fans. While the film starts off on a mining planet, the main action takes place on a derelict ship that is adrift. The main characters of the movie decide to board the ship in hopes to find some loot that'll help them turn their fates around. Big mistake on their part. Sort of. There isn't much more to the story than that. It's a simple setup and it works. Not every story needs to have deep motives for the character's actions or show off all the lore of the universe to try and create immersion. Romulus takes a page out of the first Alien movie. It keeps it simple, to the point, and tells you to enjoy. The atmosphere of the movie is amazing and draws you right in. It's fairly silent, ambient, tense, and in some cases leaves you with the feeling of hopelessness. The look of the film is great as well. It captures that working class, used and beat up futuristic look of the ships, as well as the aesthetic of the first Alien movie. If you've not seen the first Alien movie for a good while, then expect to go on a nostalgia trip. Romulus very much captures the look of the first Alien film in several ways, and all of them left a giant smile on my face. The special effects used in Romulus are great. Whether it's seeing the ship out in space flying around the ring of a planet or to the practical effects that will leave you feeling disturbed, it's well done. I'm someone who prefers practical over digital, and boy howdy was I pleased. The practical effects were just so darn good. You have no idea. Like in all Alien movies, there was a scene with the chestburster, and I found that visually pleasing yet underwhelming. It wasn't anything necessarily wrong with it, but the chestburster is iconic, and I felt that it could have been more intense. Well, it turns out it was left underwhelming for a reason. Without spoiling it, there is a part in the movie that puts the chestburster to shame. This was the most disturbingly disgusting thing I have ever seen in an Alien movie. It was so well done and just wrong in every way. The best part is the build-up. You forget about it, and then BAM! It circles back and pay off. Now, what about the big bad itself, the xenomorph? Firstly, the xenomorph looks really good and its introduction was perfect. It showed right away that this thing is not something to toy around with, and its intent is to kill you. They made the xenomorph very much a hunter and intelligent. It's not seen too much throughout the movie, and that's a good thing. Seeing it throughout would lower its impact, and the audience would become used to seeing it and ultimately not very afraid of it. However, the xenomorph stalking its prey from the shadows and the audience not knowing when or how it's going to strike keeps things tense and flowing. It truly does feel like a predator, no pun intended. First-time watchers are going to love it, and old fans are going to smile. Now, onto the human characters, and I'm not sure what to say about them. I want to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, and saying too much about them will certainly spoil aspects of the movie. So I'll try to keep this simple. Overall, I think the characters were okay. There was only one character I truly disliked, and I believe that was by design. So I disliked him, but probably not for the reasons the movie wanted me to dislike him for. None of them leave an impression like Ripley did, and they're all younger and way too emotional. Their emotions, in fact, is the main reason why things go pretty bad. While normally this is an annoying thing because logic should prevail, their emotional nature is present for a good reason, and it involves their connection and relationships to one another. However, because of their age and emotional state, this gave the feel of a weekend slasher at some point, where characters make the absolute worst decisions and then ask, why is this happening? The characters each have their own distinctive personalities, even though they're a bit cliche. The main character is Rain Carradine, and she's pretty likable. She's not a Mary Sue, not the smartest person in the room, and just trying to survive. Kaylee Spaney does a decent enough job playing Rain. Nothing for me truly stood out from her performance as Rain, but that's okay. Next, you have the leader of the group, Tyler, who comes across as cool and confident like a leader should. Then there's Kay, who is the very definition of wrong place, wrong time, and Murphy's Law. If there's anyone you feel bad for, it'll be her. Isabella Merced does a pretty good job portraying Kay, showing fear, panic, and just a run of bad luck. Then there's the hothead Bjorn, who is the guy you're supposed to dislike. I didn't care for him too much, and it felt like his dislikability was forced instead of something that comes naturally. And in a blink and you'll miss it moment, they did explain why he's the way he is towards another character and his dislikability, and it does make sense. But because of his emotional immaturity, mess goes down and he unintentionally becomes the catalyst that sets most of the story in motion. There's also Navarro, and honestly she's there for one reason and one reason only. It's an important plot point, so I won't spoil it, but other than that, she's a throwaway character and fairly forgettable. Finally, there's Andy, played by David Johnson, and I have to say, Andy is probably my favorite character in the movie. Well, an aspect of him is my favorite. Let's just call him Corporate Andy. David Johnson did such an excellent job portraying Andy to the point when he was introduced, I thought they had cast someone who had some type of mental disability. Corporate Andy proved, no, David Johnson is just a good actor. Corporate Andy is the guy who had the most survival sense and went by logic, not emotion. He was doing what's best for business. There is one part with Andy that feels forced and not needed. Fans of Aliens will know it immediately and will most likely roll their eyes as it comes off cheesy. People new to the alien world will probably like it though. As I said before, the characters aren't really anything to write home about, and I can't see future films being built around them like, say, Ripley. For a one and done story, they work. Anything more than that, well, I would be disappointed with their return. The movie itself has a runtime of 2 hours, and it doesn't feel like it. The pacing and buildup is very good. It didn't feel like 2 hours had gone by while I was watching. I became incredibly immersed. I only came out of immersion once, and it was a major shift in tone, albeit a brief one, that caused it. We see Rain somehow channel her inner action hero and do a couple of things that feel very out of character for her from what's been established. In fact, it would feel out of character for everyone in the movie. It's a scene that broke the tension and went away from a more grounded sci-fi horror and turned into an action thriller sort of thing. Interestingly enough, even the music shifted during this instance, becoming more heroic sounding instead of its more subdued and tension building which we've heard throughout the entire movie. Needless to say, I didn't like this part. It's really out of place and makes me wonder if its inclusion was forced by the studio. Luckily, this is a brief moment followed by the most intense part of the movie, which was easily inspired by the second Alien film, and they nailed it. The events that play out will leave you on edge as well as give you some anxiety. It feels like all the events in the film was building up for this intense, scary, anxiety-inducing, and nail-biting ending. This is exactly what I want from an Alien movie. The only thing that does this harm is the very end where things are a little bit too hopeful for my taste, which they really shouldn't be after everything that has occurred. In the grand scheme of things, it's a small criticism and it doesn't take away too much. I can say without a doubt, this is the best Alien film in a gosh darn good while. Yes, the characters aren't anything to write home about and they come off too illogical, but the suspense, the practical effects, the constant dangers of being hunted by this apex creature, the ambience, and even the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in an Alien film makes it work. This is a must-watch if you're fans of old or brand spanking new. It's something for everyone. This will make new fans want to see the older movies, and older fans will have something to look forward to with the newer movies if they continue to make them like Romulus. And because of all of that, Alien Romulus gets 4 Crimson Stars out of 5. Go see it. Thank you all for watching, and if you've seen Alien Romulus, let us know what you thought about the movie in the comments section down below, and also be sure to follow Unexplained Possibilities on social media, and all those links can be found in the description box below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next review.